You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. Second only to this star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
It's amazing having Ryan be the Green Lantern because he is, as you guys can see, impossibly likable. And, you know, it's true, but, you know, Hal Jordan...
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds didn't just sign on for It Ends With Us. They took control of it step by step, shaping the movie to fit their vision. But was this all part of a bigger plan?
I swear, I'm gonna make my water break just so I can cool down. It's like, crap, it's just not normal. And everyone says, how are you feeling? But they don't really want to hear how you're feeling.
No.
They don't want to sit there while you...
How did Blake go from simply playing the lead role to making major creative decisions? And what role did Ryan play in all of this? This wasn't just about one movie. There were bigger stakes involved, including a potential franchise based on Colleen Hoover's books. Did Justin Baldoni, the film's original director, ever stand a chance against them? Or was he pushed out before he even realized what was happening? Let's break down how Blake and Ryan pulled off one of the most surprising power moves in Hollywood. This isn't even the first time this kind of move has been made. Ryan Reynolds used a similar approach to gain control over Deadpool, and Blake followed the same steps to position herself as a major player in It Ends With Us. Let's start with how she got her foot in the door.
It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
Blake Lively didn't walk into this project demanding power. She came in quietly, signing on as the lead actress, Lily Bloom. At this point, Justin Baldoni had already secured the rights to the Colleen Hoover novel, put together financing, and started working with distributors. The foundation was in place. Instead of negotiating a massive salary, Blake accepted just $3 million, less than what she could typically command for a major film. But there was one key detail: she also secured an executive producer credit. While this title is often just an honorary role for big-name actors, it also gave her a level of influence over creative decisions. Why does this matter? Because this is exactly what Ryan Reynolds did with Deadpool. For that film, Ryan agreed to a small upfront salary of only $2 million, very low for a lead in a superhero film. He knew that by making this sacrifice, he could gain the trust of the producers and later have more control over the direction of the franchise. And it worked. He eventually turned Deadpool into a $785 million hit and negotiated a much higher payday for the sequel, earning a $20 million base salary plus an additional $40 million in profit sharing. Blake was playing the same game. Signing on at a low salary allowed her to come across as someone who wasn't there for the money, but for the art. It also made sure she didn't seem like a threat yet. Once filming was well underway, Blake made her next move. She waited until a significant portion of the $25 million budget had already been spent. This was a key part of the strategy because at that point, the project was too deep to back out. She especially focused on her wardrobe. By the time she made her demands, the production team had already spent money on her costumes, carefully picking outfits that matched the film's aesthetic. But then, Blake insisted on changing them. This wasn't just about style preferences, it was about control. Her demands meant the team had to scrap many of the costumes and buy new ones, putting extra strain on the already tight budget. On top of that, she required all of her wardrobe to be sent to her and Ryan Reynolds' home for fittings instead of doing it on set, adding unexpected logistics and transportation costs. The crew was frustrated. Justin Baldoni, who had spent 5 years developing this film, was put in a difficult position. Why didn't he just push back, some might ask? Because by this point, he had no choice. More than half of the budget was gone. If Blake walked away, the entire project would collapse. And with it, so would Justin's own investment. Unlike major studios with endless resources, Justin had self-funded this project through his company, Wayfarer. His estimated net worth is around $4 million, meaning he had put everything into making this movie happen. Losing Blake at this stage would have been a disaster, so he had to comply.
Can we just be done?
Ooh, we're just getting started.
Blake Lively's involvement in It Ends With Us started as just another casting announcement, but things quickly changed. She wasn't just there to act, she was taking over the project step by step, following a strategy similar to what her husband, Ryan Reynolds, used to gain control over Deadpool.
Guilty on all charges, Your Honor.
With each move, she pushed director Justin Baldoni further out of power, making sure her influence shaped the final film. Once filming began, Blake started making major changes. Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, had shaped Deadpool by controlling its tone and marketing. Now Blake was doing the same with It Ends With Us. Director Justin Baldoni was sidelined as Blake rewrote key parts of the script. Ryan also stepped in, altering important scenes without Justin's approval. Blake made sure Justin accepted these changes by inviting him over to discuss ideas, only for him to find Ryan and Taylor Swift already backing her decisions. Feeling pressured, he pushed back, saying, "I'm the director." Later that night, Blake messaged him, disappointed by his reaction. At 2 a.m., Justin replied, "Reading the second part of your message, my heart sank. But it's really good and going to make the movie sing, like you said." That was it. Blake's version stayed.
Where in God's name is the intimacy coordinator?
When Hollywood's writers and actors' strikes hit, Blake used the opportunity to strengthen her control. She drafted 17 non-negotiable demands, with Ryan helping her structure them just like he had done for Deadpool 2. Justin was already struggling with rising costs, and Sony saw Blake as the film's biggest selling point. Replacing her wasn't an option. She knew she had full leverage, and she used it. After filming ended, Justin may have thought he had regained control, but Blake had one last move: getting into the editing room. Normally, directors have a protected period to shape the film without interference, but Blake found a way in by asking to visit the editing bay just to check things out. Initially granted 2 days, she extended her stay to 10, bringing in her own editors, including one from Deadpool, while Justin's original team was gradually pushed out. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift got involved, leading to the sudden firing of the film's original composer, reportedly because she had worked with him before and didn't like him, and instead suggested someone linked to Ryan's Deadpool team. This led to 2 versions of It Ends With Us: Justin's original cut, which followed his vision, and Blake and Ryan's edited version, which reflected their creative input. Test screenings showed Justin's version scoring higher, but with Blake holding so much influence over the studio, there was no certainty that his version would make it to theaters. Blake's strategy wasn't just about one movie. She had a much bigger plan. Ryan had turned Deadpool into his own franchise, and Blake was trying to do the same with Colleen Hoover's books. If she secured control over It Ends With Us, she could position herself as the producer for future Hoover adaptations, building her own film empire. Even Colleen Hoover seemed to support her. She recently launched a production company called Heart Bones Entertainment, leading many to believe she was working with Blake and Ryan on future projects. Blake wasn't just acting in this film, she was setting herself up for long-term power in Hollywood. Whether Justin Baldoni's version of It Ends With Us ever sees the light of day remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: Blake and Ryan played their cards masterfully, leaving Justin with little control over his own project. Just when Justin thought things couldn't get any worse, Blake made her biggest move yet, a direct threat. She told him straight up, "If my version of the film isn't used, I'm out, and I'm taking the author with me." This wasn't just a casual argument, it was a turning point. Blake made it clear that if her cut wasn't chosen, she wouldn't promote the movie at all, and she wasn't bluffing. This was a nightmare for Justin. The studio had invested a lot in Blake as the lead, and without her, the film would struggle. No interviews, no red carpet appearances, no big magazine covers. It would be a disaster. Blake and Ryan knew exactly what they were doing. They understood how much influence she had, especially in the media. If she walked away, the movie's chances of success would drop overnight. But she wasn't done yet. Blake didn't just want control over the film, she wanted official recognition, and that meant securing a producer title. Before she could make that happen, she made sure to push Justin to the sidelines, even at his own premiere. "It was supposed to be the biggest night of my career," Justin later said, "but I was sent to the basement. My friends and family were with me, and we weren't even allowed to come upstairs for over an hour." While he was stuck downstairs, Blake was front and center, taking all the attention. And this wasn't just a coincidence, it was all part of her plan. In Hollywood, a Producers Guild of America, PGA credit, isn't just a fancy title, it proves someone was genuinely involved in making a film, not just adding their name for prestige. And Blake had already done everything needed to secure it. She changed parts of the script, replaced key team members including editors, took over the editing process, helped pick the music by bringing in Taylor Taylor Swift to push for a song and was involved in marketing, even linking the film with Deadpool 3. But this wasn't just about It Ends With Us. Blake was thinking on a much larger scale. If she secured the PGA credit, it would transform her career, making her more than just an actress and elevating her to the status of a serious producer like Ryan. With that title, she could demand higher pay, negotiate a cut of a movie's profits, and gain full creative control over future projects, ensuring she had the final say in what she worked on and how it was made. And it didn't stop there. Blake had her eye on something even bigger, turning all of Colleen Hoover's books into movies. When a reporter asked her about it, she smiled and said, "If Colleen has the rights, I'll follow her anywhere." Colleen herself seemed on board with the idea. She even started her own production company, Heart Bones Entertainment, which many believe is a sign that she's teaming up with Blake and Ryan to create an entire franchise. Blake wasn't just trying to control one movie. She was trying to build an empire. But as we've seen before, power moves like these don't always go as planned, and sometimes pushing too hard can backfire in ways no one expects. What do you think about this? Do let us know in the comment section below, and for more such amazing videos, do subscribe to our channel.